Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me today I have Kayla.
Hello.
And Dan.
It's me, Dan.
And we're here today with another episode for for Asian Drama November.
Yep.
And this episode we're gonna go through a show that we all watched.
Eventually.
With our Lord and Savior, Wang Yibo, starring him, the icon, the man, the myth, the legend. And we're talking about Gank Your Heart.
We have referenced this multiple times in the past that this is one of the few shows that all three of us have watched.
Yep. It happened.
And we're finally here to discuss it. Eventually Dan got there.
How many months after?
I mean, I finished this in, July.
I finished it, a week after Sammy.
And I finished
and then, Dan,
it...
when did you finish this?
It had to have been...
It was at least late August.
I got hurt, so it was September.
Yeah, you finished this in September, so... This is gonna be us trying to recall what happened in Gank Your Heart and talk. So it's not so much gonna be a plot breakdown, it's just us talking about the general plot and a lot of feelings.
A lot of thoughts and feelings that we're having.
We have a lot of feelings about this show.
I think the important start is why and how, because this is all Sammy's fault. And when I say fault, I also mean...
A lot of things are my fault.
Thank you, because I needed this in my life. I didn't know I needed it. But after watching it, I understand.
Yay.
But also, why?
But
why did you make me do this? And why did it take me all the way to September to finish it?
That was on you.
Yeah, that was on you. That is.
It was my fault. I got real busy. It literally only took a getting hit by a truck for me to be like, all right, well, I got all the time in the world to finish this show.
Again, in retrospect, also a plot point.
It is. That was very fitting.
Oh my gosh.
So
all it took was you just having something done to you that also happened to a character in this show.
Character is a thing. Yeah, he is a character.
He is a character.
Oh, is he a character?
Alright. Why, Sammy? How did this happen?
Why did I do... Well, simple. Essentially, Wang Yibo is one of my favorite people now. Actor, singer, idol member, or otherwise.
Chicken sandwich endorser.
Yep.
Chicken sandwich endorser. Bunch of other things. Motorcycle
enthusiast.
Driver and skateboarder.
Yo-yos.
Surfboarder, whatever.
Everything.
All of the above. Yo-yo enthusiast. All of the above. And so I was looking at other shows that he was in, and Gank Your Heart is a very popular one. It's a very mentioned one, and it was the one from last year. It's a 2019 drama. So I was like, oh, this is fun. Oh, it's about gaming. Cool. I don't know anything about gaming. Dan, help. Help. I need assistance. What the fuck is any of this? And then Dan was sort of exposed to what the hell a gaming drama is.
Which I didn't, at this point... I didn't know this was a thing, okay? I thought this was a one-off. And then I was explained, no, this is a subgenre, and it's very popular.
Yep. I mean, between everything from the King's Avatar, Falling Into Your Smile, Crossfire, now there is and there's technically Love 020. There's a lot of them. Go-Go Squid, all of the above. All of these are just pure gaming dramas that, again, Dan, it's an entire subgenre.
Yes, I am now exposed to. And I think I'll just get the gaming aspect out of the way. Because, yes, our Lord and...
Well, that's why you watched it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
why did you watch it?
I think I just, happened to be around when you guys decided we were going to, let's watch this K-drama, or this C-drama, right now. And I just happened to be there, and I was like, well, this sounds kind of cool. So I just, started watching it. And it was fun.
We got through...
Kayla got
I was just kind of there, yeah.
How long is the drama? 36 episodes?
There's 36 episodes.
And we watched, 18, 15 together?
No, I think we watched,
I think we got to, 20. Oh, I know. I thought we got to, 20.
I thought we might have...
Maybe 20.
I think it was actually
We got
20.
far. We got, at least halfway.
Pretty far
until we passed halfway. We passed halfway,
I think it was
we were
21
we're halfway
or 22.
through it.
And
but
then
we stopped because the episodes. Well, first off, we were tricked because initially the first episodes were all like 30-minute episodes, and there was a couple 40-minute ones. But by the end of the show, they were all at least an hour, and I was just like, why is it so long?
Mind you,
which is
this
funny
because
I watched.
Easy show to watch.
Yeah.
Because this show is not available anywhere for legal streaming.
Nope.
So we had to find it.
Yes.
I'm not going to say where we found it, but you can tell where we
Use your
found
imagination.
Yep.
We were all
Google it.
It just isn't anywhere, and we were looking. I would have paid a pretty penny to like own it with English subtitles that weren't Google translated. I mean,
they were not. These were
Google
decent
translated.
quality subtitles.
These are decently translated because I do think that because from the logo that's in the corner, it seems to be someone that does a lot of unique, and by unique I mean the K-pop group Unique.
Yes.
Translations, which a lot of their stuff was in Chinese. So if this is someone that does their translations, they're probably like.
Probably pretty
decent.
good, yeah.
They did good. They did good.
So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we watched it in 480p, and the experience was a little bit down because of that. But I still was able to finally finish it. It literally just took me being able to do nothing to finish watching.
Hit by a truck.
Because the show literally has
the
first 10. Yeah, the first 10 episodes. So much happens. And in the last 5 episodes, so much happens.
So much happens.
But in that
There's
middle,
like a middle
literally
10 episodes of nothing.
There's nothing. And so we stopped watching in the middle of nothing, and it was like, why do I want to watch this on my own with nothing? I have nothing. I don't even have you guys to make fun of it to go through with it. So eventually we got through. It just took me till September because I did actively promise it. There's no way I won't finish this by the end of July. And then I finished
and then
it.
you did
that
not.
was a promise you made.
It was a promise you made. And we were saying pop quiz at the end of July for everyone. And Dan was not even started any of it past what we had watched together.
But also was very cocky that of course I'll have it by the end of July. Why are you making it so far away?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And then I just stopped watching dramas altogether. Until
you got hit by a truck.
Yeah, and then I'm like, well, time to start watching shows again. And then I watched like 4 shows in like a couple
Then
weeks.
Stopped again.
I'm still chugging along. But yeah. Anyway, gaming and gaming drama. So when Sammi initially said Gank Your Heart, I was just like, that's an interesting title. And to make a brief explanation, which I think I had to do several times to explain what ganking means, it's a...
Because ganking is apparently an actual term.
It is an actual term in
know.
gaming. Specifically, the type of game that this show is supposed to portray, which is a MOBA, which is like similar to League of Legends and Dota 2, both of which are super popular, is specifically in China, which make lots and lots of money. So it wasn't like that uncommon, and so ganking is a term specifically used a lot in those games. And what ganking is, it literally just means to you're surprising your opponent unexpectedly, like all of a sudden out of nowhere you gank them and then you show up and attack them in the game kind of out of like without them knowing. That's what ganking is. So the whole concept of showing up on at your heart, you know, like out of nowhere, no one saw this coming, ganking your heart. It's kind of a cute name, but also gaming, very gaming word.
Gaming.
So yeah,
gaming for gamers.
And then we watched
Dan,
the first
would you
episode.
say that,
oh, go ahead.
Dan, would you say that being a gamer enhanced or detracted from your enjoyment of this show overall?
I think for your typical gamers that would watch Asian dramas, I think they'd like it, but if someone that didn't watch Asian dramas will not be sold on the gaming for this. The only reason I enjoyed it was because 1, it was a new fascinating concept to me, 2, Wang Yibo was in it, and 3, I was like, I like gaming a lot, and to have a show about all the gaming stuff, have it totally not make sense, because I know what really goes behind, which was fun to watch, because I do follow a lot of esports, and I do follow a lot of what happens in like making teams and signing contracts and players and that kind of aspect, which are all plot points in the show. they don't work at all like that. Like, shockingly, like if you're watching
But then again, I feel like that's just how you treat every. I mean, I
yeah,
can't
like
watch
I was gonna say, like you
shows
can't
because
watch
they're
a.
fucking stupid.
I was gonna say that, like you can't watch a medical show and be like, ah, yes, that makes sense. It's the same thing. Like, it was a lot of stupid. I mean, they literally take sound assets from the game I play actively, and I'm just like, I know these sounds because I hear it all the time when I'm playing my game. And they show them playing the game, and they're literally just mashing keyboard. They're not. It doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no game that would make sense where you're just like, I can click the button super fast, and now I'm a gamer. That's what that was. It was pretty funny to see. But I think overall it was cool to, like, gaming is fun, and there was a lot of passion for the game, and that's what they all wanted to do at the end. It was like, I just want to be a part of this community. And that was kind of cool. I thought that was nice. I did tear up, and I didn't tear up at any of the romantic subplots. Nope. I teared up at the gaming. That's what I teared up at. I was like, oh, they won the game. I'm so happy for them. So that was kind of, yeah. But that was kind of like my sole like motivator to continue watching the show. And then I ended up liking a lot of the characters, and disliking a lot of the characters, which made me want to continue watching. But yeah, that's the gaming in a nutshell. It's not accurate in no means. It's still funny to see, but they did nail the whole like, I'm passionate about the sport. Let's make a show about that. And now I thought that was well done. So yeah, cool stuff. After that, I mean, yeah, I guess we could just move on to like some of the plots.
Do you want to? So do you want to talk about the intro of the show?
Okay.
The intro of this show
I think
spoils
that's
the entire show.
I was gonna say that's the second motivator to watching this show for all of us.
We
were watching it together.
We knew the plot of the whole show by the time we watched the intro
but like
once.
It's to the point where like you get the plot of the show and you're like, okay, so this is the beginning of, because it also is not that much plot.
No.
You kind of think that that's just going to be the very beginning of the show, and then it's going to evolve from there. It does not.
Does not.
Okay.
You're getting like things that are happening in episode 35 in the intro.
It's we're not exaggerating when we say the initial sequence, like music sung by our Lord and Savior, by
Wang
the way.
Yibo.
Very good track.
I listen to it very regularly.
Yeah, same. We're not kidding. It literally spoils the whole show. And, like, to the point where there are characters in the intro that don't show up till the end of the show, where then we're watching through it and we're introduced to characters. And we're like, oh my gosh, I know what happens to them now.
It's that man
because
from the intro.
He ends up at this point in the show because of the intro. So, like, I would say, like, we can just talk about anything that happens in the show, because if you watch the first 2 minutes of the show, you already know what happens anyway. Like, it's not.
And I think
it's really
the
dumb.
main motivating factor of this intro is that there's this whole storyline about how Wang Yibo forms his own team at some point in the show. And that seems like it should be like a halfway point in the show or something. Like him forming his whole team.
But
that seems like it should be
like
the plot.
Beginning of the show.
The main plot. We think that's the main plot. This doesn't happen until episode 30 out of 36 in this show.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Shocking. It's ridiculous. Even subplots, like which couples get together,
all of it
are
is in the intro.
Spoiled in the intro.
All of it.
And it's not even just main couple, because you know
you get the two side couples as well.
It's all the side couples.
Because you get the best friend comic relief couple, and then you get the team manager plus cafe man couple, which is like, that's not even introduced until like at least more than halfway through the drama. Like,
and also because of the quality, because of the 480p, we could not tell who was that couple. We were like, who is that? We thought it was like second male lead and main girl. We were like going through 8 different possibilities of who the hell that was. And then randomly one of the episodes was in higher quality, and we could figure out.
And we could actually see the intro.
We watched that intro several times through, and we're just like, oh my gosh, this is what happens through the entire show. And the thing is, we know Wang Yibo creates a team later on, and like it shows who's on
so
the
you're
team.
just sitting here. No, they show literally a framed picture of the team in their hands, and I'm like, oh, so it's him. Okay.
And then we came to the realization.
Revelation.
Massive plot spoiler. The guy who we thought was being set up to be the main antagonist is on this new team, and we're just like, what?
And it's just, and then when we realized that, we just started to look at him, and we're like, nah, he is just the sweetest of boys.
He is the nicest character.
Yeah, he's
the sweetest boy.
So it shows every plot problem as well. Like, it's so fascinating why on earth they decide to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you want a trailer for the show that literally shows everything, just watch the intro. That's it. Like, honestly, when we were preparing for this video, we're just like, I haven't seen this show in so long. Let's just go watch the intro again, because that literally reminds us of everything that happens. But yeah, it was, oh my gosh, dude. It was funny, because by the like halfway point, we're just like, well, this new team is eventually going to happen, right? It was pretty much just waiting every single episode till like, when is this new team happening? When is this new team happening? It's got to happen now, right? Nope. Wang Yibo literally goes through 2 other teams before he ends up making his own. He starts off on a team, goes to another team that you're just like, okay, he's here now. And then all of a sudden, then after like, episode 28, 29.
1/3 of the drama with the other team.
He gets kicked off that team and then was like immediately like, oh no, I'm just going to quit gaming.
He literally...
And then we have to go through the obligatory like 2 episodes of the I'm sad I quit playing the game until he finally decides to make the new team around episode 30.
It's crazy. Like he gets kicked off of 2 teams before he gets on, which again, from a gaming point of view, doesn't happen. You don't get kicked off like that in a season, and you don't just, I mean, there's been teams that have been like, I'm just gonna make my own team and see how that goes, which is common.
Yeah, and his second
getting
team,
kicked out of contracts and stuff like that don't happen.
His second team, he signs a contract to play for $1.
Yeah, $1.
He's like, I just want to be on a team to prove my abilities.
Worth.
Yeah, it's insane. So yeah, I think now we could just introduce the main characters of the show.
Yes, we should do that.
So, Wang Yibo plays a, like, he's not a superstar because he plays the strategist / like captain for teams and stuff.
But he's not the captain at the beginning.
No.
And he's also like, he only becomes the captain when he makes his own team.
Exactly.
And even then, it's like...
Yeah, it's really odd. Because he plays, like, everyone, like, again, in gaming, this is a thing. He plays, like, the sacrificial character that, like, I won't do as well to make other players do well. But in this, they just see that as, like, oh... Again, not a realistic gaming thing where they're just like, he sucks at the game, he's just playing bad, I don't get it. But in real gaming, that's just a role, and people marvel at, like, wow, look at how good he is that he did all this to make his other players shine better, you know? So, unrealistic in that aspect. So he has, like, a bad rep to him, so no one kind of likes him. Teams don't really want to pick him up and stuff like that, so when he gets fired from his first job, it's like, the only way they'll sign me over is if I literally ask for $1 in a signing contract fee. So... he's kind of an oddball.
Well, no, they offer
him decent money.
They offer him more.
Well,
they offer him an average contract.
But
he just like is like, I just want $1 for the love of the game.
Yeah, I think it was also because the other guy was skeptical of hiring him. That was the other thing. And then she said like, well, he only asked for $1, and then he's like, well, I guess I can't really yell at him now.
And also of note that he essentially just switches places with this other character who joins the team that he got kicked off of. So they're just switching teams. Yep.
I guess we can introduce second main lead.
Tall boy.
Second male lead, who we call Tall Boy.
Because he's very tall.
He's very tall. And he is the complete opposite of Wang Yibo. He's really skilled at the game and plays like I can just solo win this game without anyone's help. I don't need anyone to help me. I just kind of play in my own way. I'm pretty awkward. I sort of just keep to myself. I don't reach out to any of my teammates, but I'm just super good at the game, kind of a guy. And they literally flip-flop teams, Wang Yibo and him. They're on opposing teams that have a rivalry, semi-small rivalry, whatever. And they just switch teams, and they both kind of Tallboy switches teams to be with Wang Yibo, which is
to playing with Wang Yibo.
Yes.
that's what they comes out later in the show, which is obvious from the start for us because we're just like, oh my gosh, he just wants to be with the good captain, the one that cares about other teammates and stuff, and he's like, I want to learn from him
because his old team is filled with dicks.
Assholes.
That's what the
Absolute
problem is.
assholes on the other team.
Wang Yibo goes over to that team and tries to help save it, but he just ends up getting into we don't like you, so we're just gonna sabotage your own team.
So it's mainly just this one guy who is the absolute biggest asshole in the world.
Worse.
And he's got two
Terrible.
little goons who just do whatever he wants, and he intimidates. He uses the goons to intimidate one of the other players to doing what he wants.
Yeah.
And then Wang Yibo spends all this time trying to convince the other player that he's actually good at gaming, and he doesn't have to listen to the stupid one.
Yeah. It's super weird. It didn't make much sense. But hey, that's Tallboy. Now we can introduce main lead.
Main female lead.
Main female lead. So main female lead starts off by essentially being a reporter for this online gaming news organization.
Yeah. Again,
and
also
then,
a very popular thing in real
very popular
gaming.
thing. And then, but her real dream is to be an announcer.
Well,
but I don't think she has this.
Okay,
she does
she
not
did
even have
dream.
that dream initially.
I think so.
But
she got
it becomes her dream.
Yes, that's her end goal. I think so she gets this is when the first episode when Kayla's sort of tagging along, and I'm in it for the gaming and only focusing on the gaming, and I'm just like, okay, so this is our main lead girl, and she's asking such questions as, how do you click mouse, and how does gold win games, which are, I don't know, in tic-tac-toe terms, am I a cross or am I an O? I don't get it. That's the kind of questions she's asking. It's so basic and dumb. You obviously should know at least that if you're even going to attempt to be, a gaming journalist. And then all of a sudden after this tournament, she's all well, now I want to be an announcer because that's, my new dream. Which is cool. I mean, I get it. She wants to, shine. And, but from a gaming aspect where she doesn't even know, what is what, it doesn't make sense. So, yeah.
A lot of her storyline makes absolutely no sense at all. She is a badly written female lead.
I felt bad because she acted well, but her character was so odd and didn't make any sense, made me not like her.
No, she's a very badly written character.
And that's really all it is. It's her acting and all that. She's
a very
her
good
role
actress,
perfectly.
Yeah.
But her her character was so bad.
You just don't like the character.
I really don't like the character. I was like, it's so bad. Why does it not make sense at all?
I don't find her that annoying. I've had
so
more
annoying.
K-pop.
Yeah. Well,
more annoying C-drama actresses.
I'm sure there are. So it's if I had to gripe with anything, it would be that her character was poorly written. Because Tallboy and even Wang Yibo, both of them had really good story arcs where they kind of grew as. I mean, Wang Yibo has this has a trope of just I'm just gonna convince everyone I'm the best guy ever, and he is kind of a trope.
Because he is.
That's, okay. That's fine. Tallboy was the most interesting and probably my favorite character from the show.
Oh, he's great.
I love
him.
He's a sweet boy, tall boy.
It's cool how they...
So, do we want to start at the actual beginning of the show, which is that weird Canadian...
There's a weird Canadian gaming tournament happening.
Yes, which is also based off of real gaming. Which is
where the show starts.
Which is kind of cool, because it's set to be in 2018, because that's the year when it was made, but also there was a huge gaming tournament in Vancouver that year. and they're all talking about like, oh, this is cool, but then next year it's going to be in China, and guess what, in 2019 it was in China. So it's kind of like, oh, they're just literally,
the show did come out in 2018, so, in 2019, so like,
yeah, so they're literally parroting real gaming events, which is, I thought, was kind of cool. So yeah, that it starts at the 2018 Canadian event where this journalist, poor girl, she's just like, you're going to Canada and you have to talk about a gaming thing, and she's like, I don't know anything about gaming.
She's literally live streaming this competition like from a phone.
On her
phone.
Yes.
Just
yes.
attempting to live stream.
Yep. And we're introduced to the main like gaming team of the show, which is Legends. And they're pretty cool. They have gotten really close to a lot of victories, but never really quite there, because that's the whole subplot of, you know, China hasn't ever won before. They're not good enough, which is funny because in real gaming, China wins a lot. They're really good. So it's kind of like, oh, they're the underdogs, which is cool because
China has to make themselves an underdog story somehow.
They have to.
And also, I'm sorry, if we're following, no matter what country you're in, even if it's not fun to follow the winners that win everything.
It's not. So that's why it was funny to me. It's not fun. Because from our perspective, it's always been, oh no, China is the big dogs. Everyone's scared of how good they're at the game. So it's always everyone else versus China, and it's kind of like, we're the underdogs. And then I'm watching it from China's point of view now, and they're the underdogs. So I thought that was a huge entertainment value for me, because I liked seeing that. Because I've watched tons of tournaments, and it's always been like, oh, China is always so good. They're so good. You can't beat them. How do you win? And now I'm seeing it from their side of view, where they're not as good. So that was cool. I like that. Mm-hmm. That's another gaming sidetrack. There's gonna be a lot of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So in this tournament, we are introduced to one of my favorite running side plots, which is Jeffrey the strange foreigner.
He's your token evil white person.
He is a white person.
Token evil white person.
His accent is one of the most confusing things I've ever seen in my life, because it is both a full-on like New York accent and also Australian. It is the
most confusing accent I've ever heard in my
Chinese
life.
As well,
and also can speak Chinese,
like fluent
and
Chinese.
Subtle racism,
yeah,
subtle racism in everything he says.
It's
like,
so.
He's in the. I think it's an American team.
They never specify where they're from.
I mean, some of his players looked European, so that's why
they
I was
do look kind of like Northern European.
But he speaks too perfect of English.
Yeah, it was, but yeah.
Where it's like he speaks like
but everyone
English
else spoke like
English-speaking,
like broken German English or something like that. So it's kind of like
we have no idea where anyone is from.
They're just
they're not
generic
Chinese.
White people, evil white people team is essentially what they're meant to be.
Yep. So essentially, Legends loses in that team. Loses that match or that tournament.
They loses the tournament.
I still don't know.
The big tournament. Yep. No, this is like the huge tournament once a year kind of a thing, and it was in Canada, and main lead girl is trying to film it for her gaming journalism, and she's asking questions to the audience like, how do you like play the game, because I don't even know yet. And then like Wang Yibo is trying to play on the floor, and he loses to Jeffrey with the confusing accent, and Jeffrey's all smug about it, and he's an absolute jerk. He's
an absolute dick.
That's his character though. That's the problem. It's like he's just, and there's a lot of that in gaming as well. That character is just an attitude with a lot of gaming people. Because turns out all gamers are either just dicks or don't care. And
nerds.
Yeah. So there's a lot of dicks in gaming.
Nerds,
so that they nailed that. That is a very true concept. The confusing accent thing is another story, but dicks.
Do all gamers not have confusing accents?
Man,
culturally ambiguous accents.
But no. The dick thing is definitely true. There's a lot of that.
So the weird inciting incident. Oh, so after they lose, like, they end up going out to this bar, and, like, the current captain of the Legends realizes he can no longer game, because he has massively bad carpal tunnel. Like, you can see him in the game, he's having, like, a massive amount of pain in his hands, and he can't, like, game, or he's not gaming well.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm leaving the team to you, and just hands him, like, this ring necklace, where it's like, you are now the leader of this team.
It was like a championship.
So his
ring
carpal
or
tunnel.
whatever.
Carpal
Is
tunnel.
very
Also,
real
you
in
will
gaming,
realize
from what I've
we
heard.
did not learn the names of any of these characters, and we just
Nope.
call them by, like,
Nope.
like certain
Nope.
qualities.
It is Wang Yibo, tall boy, main girl, carpal tunnel, and we'll get to more.
We got
You'll
Jeffrey.
learn the names
We got
Jeffrey.
and Jeffrey. Jeffrey is the only name we learned.
We also
and that is
called
only
Jeffrey-
after calling him Trevor.
We also called him
for,
Trevor
Like,
Yeah.
for like 5 episodes
We
before
called
we
him
realized his name was Jeffrey.
We thought he looked like a Trevor.
We don't know. Like, I was convinced, because you said he looks like a Trevor. I was just convinced
That was
his
his
name
name.
was
His name
actually
was
Trevor.
Trevor.
And then I realized, like, who's Jeffrey? Wait, is Jeffrey Trevor? Is Trevor Jeffrey? I don't understand.
Trevor is Jeffrey, and
then-
Jeffrey is the only name we learned
Yeah, pretty much.
because
I mean, I could
he
read their
looks
names.
like both a Trevor and a Jeffrey. He
but I
looks
just
like
never
both a Trevor
bothered
and a
to,
Jeffrey.
yeah. And it
I
is,
mean, we knew him at the time, but it's also been like 5 months.
Yeah,
and
I don't-
also like
even for me, I
we
don't
just
learn
now
names,
our brain
so-
has them associated with their
With the just like
archetype,
trope.
Yeah.
or
Carpal tunnel.
archetype, yeah.
carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel.
like
Yep.
carpal tunnel.
Which is also a real thing
Uh,
in gaming, so sucks to be him. Bye.
Bye.
Leaves the team.
But also, please, if you're a gamer, don't game forever. Carpal tunnel is a very real thing, and also arthritis there is no cure for arthritis.
Yeah, you're just dealing with it.
Arthritis is one of the worst things that will happen to you, especially if you're like
Young.
20 years old and you have to deal with arthritis for the next 60 years of your life, as
Mhm.
opposed to being 60 years old and you only have to deal with arthritis for the next 20 years of your life.
Exactly.
Different time frames. So that was medical advice with Sammy.
Thank you.
Nice.
I will game less.
Less.
With you,
Please.
please.
We've told you to do that multiple times.
Mm.
Oh, should we introduce the
So-
side couple? The
Yeah,
best
let's do
friend
that
side
together.
couple?
They aren't introduced till later.
Well-
if you want to
well,
just
the-
finish
We
can
up in
introduce the
Canada.
guy.
The
We have to
best
do the
friend
fist
of
fight.
Wang Yibo is here because he's on the team.
Yeah, so Wang Yibo has a friend who we've called comedy sidekick.
Yeah.
Yep. Comic
pretty
relief.
much. Best friend, comic
Comic
relief.
relief. Yeah, best friend comic relief.
And he is what
Who
he
is,
is.
again,
the
best
comic
friend
relief.
comic relief is the perfect
That is his
description.
purpose
We
in the
love him.
show.
You always like
He's
these
also-
characters.
He's great. We love
He's a
him.
good actor. I did like him. He fit the role
Mm-hmm.
perfectly. He just seemed like a genuinely fun guy. Like, I'd hang out with him.
Yeah, we
So-
like him.
He was cool. And he was on that team that just lost to Jeffrey, so
Legends.
legends.
Also, mind you, my question here is also because the new team is called Phoenix.
Yes.
Are these better or worse than actual team names?
Gaming team names are not great. And they are pretty much on par. I mean, right now there's a popular team and it's literally just called Mud Golems. So again,
Okay.
not very great. But then like more established and prominent, like prestigious teams, there's a lot of them that are like Team Empire or Team Virtuous Pro or Evil Geniuses, or in Korea very
So about
popular
on par with
T1. A
everything
lot
that
of
I've
like
heard.
2-letter or IG, like in OG, like all these like names. They're not great, and that is the same. They're not great. Gaming names have never been good, so they'll never.
So they just essentially made yeah, sure. If there was a team
I'm
called
sure
Legends,
there's
that sounds
actually a
about
team
right.
called Legends out there, and I'm sure there's a team called Phoenix out there. I wouldn't doubt it in my mind. So, yeah,
Cool.
that's the thing. But yeah, Comic Relief. He was on that team, and he lost. Which then, I think the first start to like one of the big plot holes, or not plot holes, the big plot points that like engage a lot of the interactions was they're leaving and waiting on the bus to like, or waiting for the bus to like get them out of Canada, essentially, to go back to China
Yep.
or wherever Jeffrey the frick is. For all I know, it could be somewhere in Africa. I don't know. Like, it honestly could have been anywhere. It could have been South African. I don't know. Weird. Either way, they're just sort of sitting there, and wow, opposing teams that just lost to each other. What do you think is gonna happen? They start
And also,
engaging
Jeffrey
words.
comes out being like slightly like there's a weird subtle tinge of racism in everything he says.
Oh, for sure. That's just he's
Like, just very subtle.
China ain't that great. How dare you?
And a
So-
fist fight
Not
almost
even that, but
happens.
also just like specifically toward people, and also just insults carpal tunnel to his face, which I think is what really sets it off.
Yeah. How dare you make fun of our captain? He's old and does hurt himself. Like, that's mean.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of like engage, not quite to blows.
It's not a physical fight. It is not a physical. It could have headed that direction, but it did not end up going that. I'm sure it would have ended up going that way if they let them
if
be
they let
for
them go,
longer.
but they kind of held each other back, kind of a thing.
I want to see Jeffrey get depth. though.
Yeah, and
So
and a
bad.
huge plot point, granted, is the fact that there was a tour of like just people taking a tour in Canada, saw this all happen.
And I also think they were Chinese too.
They're Chinese
Yeah,
I
Chinese-
think
tourists.
it was a
Chinese
Chinese
tourists.
Nothing to-
tourists in Canada.
Nothing to do with gaming, by the way. Just some tourists see that this goes on and that there was like sort of an engagement, not quite a fist fight, just sort of like, oh, that's kind of awkward. And of course, mainly girl sees it all happen as well. But like, that's it. They kind of just move on from that, which then comes back up later.
Later.
But the reporter girl, our main female lead, records the fight happening, and then I think
Yes.
posts it on the internet for her, for whatever company she
Gaming
works for.
journalism.
Yeah.
Which gets Wang Yibo upset, like, could you, make us look bad like that? You're supposed to be, whatever. You didn't know the context, blah, 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 whatever. And she's like, oops, I kind of messed up, but I also really want to become famous, but I want to do some real journalism. I don't know what to do.
And
kinda
I don't know what to do
It's
with my
funny
life
that she says that because this gets her fired from her job because
Yeah.
because
it's a bad
like,
look for the company that they published this fight that's happening with
Yep.
these two teams.
Well, yeah.
And so they
It
fire
gets-
her.
yeah.
Yep.
Did they? Okay, so I'm trying to remember because the thing is, this fight keeps coming back up later
Yeah.
to the point where she literally is waiting in the airport for like the tourists people to come back to China to be like, "Hey, you witnessed the fight. Did anything worse happen than I thought?"
So
Or
what
did
I
you
so
have-
what
or, like,
happens
they know-
is that
She wants the
And-
video footage because someone was videoing it because,
no, so there was an edited version of the fight that looks like Wang Yibo punched Jeffrey in the face, which
I wish happened. Honestly, wish it happened.
one of the other so the main asshole girl who
Because there's always one of each.
There's one of each. She
a
works
main-
at the
who
works at the same
the
company.
news organization.
She
With her.
blackmailed another girl to secretly upload it to her computer and then uploaded it onto the internet from her computer, so it looks like she posted the fake video.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the video that got
Yeah.
posted. It wasn't really the hassle. No, it was like a fake edited Photoshop fight where they
Yep.
are beating each other up to a pulp, which didn't happen. And so she's trying to prove.
No,
her.
I think it was just. I think he just punched. Like the edited version of that, like the punch actually like landed. Essentially, like they
Okay.
actually did fight, and he decked him,
Okay.
which I think was very fun.
Yeah, it would have been funny. But so yeah, she's
would
literally
love
going
it.
to all ends to try and prove her name is innocent. Like trying to find the tourist that randomly was recording at the same time. Yeah.
And then they have to get a
To-
statement from Jeffrey about it, so he comes
Literally
to China.
asked
Jeffrey
Jeffrey.
just refuses to like
He's
engage.
like, well, he engages in the sense that,
Later.
lol, I would never get punched by that weakling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have decked him 1st
Mhm.
kind of a thing.
Yep.
Which kind of
Yeah.
Which
Which
was
again,
helpful,
I think makes
but
perfect
also
sense because Jeffrey never seemed like someone that would let a video of him looking like a bitch
Yeah.
because he got decked in the face and not
Jeffrey's
fought
not
back.
here for
Yeah.
that.
He would never let that stand.
You wouldn't hear that.
He's just like, no, even if it ruins his career, it makes me look like a bitch.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't want that. So, in all of this, we get to meet Legends as a team and their facility, which is very nice. And I'll say,
And
in gaming world, yes, they have nice places, and I can't speak for China's nice facilities, but these seem overly nice. Like, this is like mansions.
oh, if you think this is overly nice, you should see the gaming facilities in Go-Go Squid.
Oh my
Those
gosh.
are nice.
So yeah, a bit unrealistic. Yes, gamers make a lot
Oh,
of
you
money,
should also
and
see
yes,
the-
a
oh
lot
my
of
God.
gamers are millionaires. But yeah, I don't know.
You need to see the fucking
how
spaceship
much.
they live in the King's Avatar, then.
Oh my gosh! All right, well, thanks for more things to watch. But yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. They don't usually like live in a house together sometimes, and it's just a regular house, and they just take one of the bedrooms and turn it into like everyone set up a computer. Yoo-hoo. That's a thing. But yeah, like maybe they'll have like one or two managers with them, like one person to help with all like their scheduling and like regular business stuff, and like getting them flights and visas to different countries to fly and stuff. So, but this is like a full-fledged organization with like gyms
There's a
and
cafe
stuff,
in it.
cafes, and like different types of managers for psych eval and like they make it seem like, oh, there's like a whole set of full-on substitutes for all the main squad where they're all training together, and like this is a huge thing. Like, I don't know, I can't speak for China, they probably have a lot more of that, but like in a Western sense that I've seen, no, it's not very realistic, especially when it comes to like these types of games. They don't often be like, oh, you know what, you're having a bad game, let me just switch you out. No, these team games are so dependent on the team aspect, which is a huge part in why they wanted to make their own squad at the end, because it wasn't working out, is that you need a team to really rely on each other. And that's kind of like the whole like message of the story, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Get friends that you can count on, and that's when your dreams come true.
Yep.
So,
Alright.
yeah.
I think this is where we can talk about actual, like, side couple. Because in the middle of all this, like, main girl is trying to get, like, an interview with Wang Yibo.
Right.
But the thing is, like, they keep, like, having, like, these weird like, it's that whole, like, misunderstandings type situation.
Yeah.
And during that time, essentially, their friends, like, her friend, which is, comedy,
Comedy female.
like, comic relief girl and comic relief boy also meet. And they fall in love as well. While
Well,
main couple
And they have
Yeah.
a lot of like fun adventures together. Like they stalk
It's
a
great.
date that it's not really a date. They follow the main girl and Wang Yibo to a restaurant, and then like try to sneak into the restaurant, but are not at all being subtle because they like straight up like somersault into the restaurant, trying to be sneaky about it, and then
Sit right across from
Sit
them,
the-
and
this-
after,
the booth right next
like-
to them. Yeah.
like, oh, thanks for spying on us, now you can pay for our meal, bye.
Yep.
Wait.
Poor comic relief has left with the bill more than once.
Several
in
times,
this
multiple
entire
times
drama.
over this drama.
multiple times.
Yeah.
It's a running theme of the drama. Is comic relief is gonna
Which is-
pay for the food.
Pay for the food, pay for any expenses that happen. He's like, oh, cool, you got this? Thanks, bye. I mean, that's what Wang Yibo has to do. He literally signed a contract for $1
Yep.
signing bonus. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not fun. But yeah, so Wang Yibo is now the new captain of this new team, along with Comic Relief, kind of like the only real character to care about, because the other team members don't really have that much influence, except maybe one of them. We're introduced to one of the first antagonists of the show is Team Manager, and this guy is the guy kind of in charge of the branding and like sponsorship stuff, which he just is like, I don't like him. I want someone that can like be a brand, because again, they're playing on the whole fact that Wang Yibo is a quote unquote bad gamer because he plays differently than most gamers. He doesn't just win the game. You know, he has to be like the trickster or the one that like surprise. I don't know. Again, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, he's got a bad rep to him. So he's like, I don't want him on my team because I can't sell him. You know what I mean? I need something better. So I want the best player in the world to be on the team. But I want the best player in the world to be on the team and be captain, which means I gotta get Wang Yibo
We
out
gotta
of
get
here.
rid of him.
Yep.
Which is how the whole plot with, hey, antagonist female and team manager are like, hey, if we can publish this video from her, it'll get Wang Yibo in trouble and it'll get her in trouble. So they'll both get fired and we're both happy. Because for no reason, this female antagonist just wants this main lead out. For no, she never did anything wrong, but she just hates her guts. And whatever she does, she wants to just ruin her life. And she does.
She's really just here to be like a bitch and like just get in the way. Is like really
get
all
in the
she's
way
there
is
for.
really what it is. She's just like, I'm just gonna be petty the entire time. So it's super annoying. Anyway, that's when the whole like Jeffrey comes out saying, yeah, I never get punched. But either way, Wang Yibo is like, I'm out. And so the other girl also gets fired, and even though after it's been proven that she's innocent, she's just like, well, I'm not going back there because
The company
it's
sucks, yeah.
it's not worth it at this point. So that's kind of when their relations starts growing with a lot of odd interactions to the point of some, very inappropriate stuff. I don't really remember how they ended up in this situation. Do you remember? I don't remember.
She was talking to some dude from, I don't know if he was from like a gaming, like a company or something.
Yeah.
Or what man it was that she was with or talking to.
It wasn't Crappy Team Manager, was it? I think it was.
No.
I don't remember
Maybe?
who it was.
I think it
Oh,
was.
maybe it was.
I'm pretty sure it was. That's why. Yeah, I think it was. I don't know who else it was. It couldn't have been anyone else. Well, anyway, we have just an awkward, almost sexual assault scene,
Yeah.
which wasn't necessary. It was just there
No.
so that Wang Yibo could be the hero. That's
And
what
he
it was.
comes-
There for.
He comes in on his motorcycle and busts that windshield with a motorcycle helmet.
Oh, we have
Which
to
again,
mention.
Iconic.
Wang Yibo
Yeah.
has
Amazing.
to ride
I love that
motorcycles in every
Yeah,
drama
it's
he's
probably
in.
in
Always.
his contract. I mean, it was kind of hard in the Untamed, but they somehow got. I'm just kidding. They had in his contract. It's got to be somewhere. Where he's like, I gotta have a scene where I ride the motorcycle because he loves his motorcycles, and he's definitely.
He's like a
using them in the show.
semi-professional motorcycle like rider.
He is.
Yeah, honestly, like he's just on the regular, and it's amazing.
It's
Because
funny.
what can't he do?
Mhm.
It was like multiple times in the show. It's like, oh, well, there's his dedicated motorcycle scene. Not really purpose, but it just shows
Well, no,
him
he
going to a
also
point.
loves that. Like, it also is a plot point that he loves that motorcycle. That motorcycle is something that
It's
he
like his
Yes,
baby.
that is
Yeah.
a thing.
takes care of, loves, and like
One of
is
his pride
very
possessions. Blah blah blah.
yes.
So, yeah, that's kind of like he's the hero, and then that's when the relationship kind of goes to, oh, I kind of like you, maybe. And so several things go into that, one of which is the infamous Strawberry Milk Cafe, where there's a whole plot line with the, I love the cafe owner,
cafe
where it's
owner.
all like, here's your milk, and you guys are friends, right? Wink, wink. Which
Wink,
then
wink.
slowly is like,
That
where's...
cafe owner is
That's
just trying to
amazing.
get them. He sees
Trying so
he
hard.
sees it, and he's just like, no,
We're
immediately.
just friends.
Like, I am matchmaking everyone in my cafe.
Yes.
I know
This is
all
what
the
I
couples.
do. I've
This
done
is
this
my
before.
job.
This is I am perfecting my craft.
It's so cute, and they go to this cafe multiple times and stuff. So
Oh, it is the night. It is a very aesthetic cafe.
it's literally everything is pink. It's very pink, and
I feel like they
love
literally only serve strawberry things at this cafe, probably.
strawberry milk and strawberry
Strawberry
tarts.
cake.
Yeah.
Cake.
A whole-
and,
whole cakes.
multiple
Whole
Okay, we
cakes.
gotta talk about food sizes in this show as well, because this is also a recurring theme of like, oh, we're gonna get something to eat, and it's just like a massive unfinishable portion of something.
Like there's a
One of
giant
which- yeah.
ramen, like instant ramen bowl, but it's like gigantic. It's like enough for like 5
Massive.
people.
It's a family-sized one, and they're like, everyone gets one, and I'm just like, no.
I was like, you're not
I don't
eating
care if
all-
it's a
you're not
brand
eating all of that.
in placement.
It's a brand sponsorship, definitely, because
Yeah.
it is the only thing they eat when they're at home.
Yeah, that, and they always
The
show the
only
face masks that they always get, and they're like, okay, yeah, we get it. Brand promotion. But still, oh my gosh, that's too much food. Oh, we're just gonna, like, order a cake at a cafe. An
entire cake.
Full cake.
Entire
A
cake.
full cake. And I'm just like, no, no, you just get a little cake. A piece
One
of cake,
slice
maybe.
of cake.
No, an entire
One
cake.
slice.
And they're just like, here you go. And I'm like, here's your cake you ordered. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a funny theme that we kept seeing happen over and over again. So that was cool.
So, to get back to like actual plot of the drama.
Yeah.
So once the
keep going
so
on
I think we need to go
There's
to
a lot of
the
tangents.
gaming cafe story because that's a very
yes.
that ends up pretty important.
Yeah.
So after she gets fired from her job, she ends up at this gaming cafe, who happens to be owned by the cousin of Tallboy. And she goes there
Yes.
and she sees like a job advertisement thing there. But apparently to be able to work at this cafe, you need to be like the best rated player in like the server, which
Which is so
doesn't make
stupid.
any sense, but okay.
And another reason why another reason why I didn't like her character arc is because literally from episode 1 she's just like, I don't know what's the difference between like this team and that team, to then I need a job, so I'm gonna get good at gaming. Again, this is a show about professional players and stuff, and she's just like, I'm gonna get good at gaming, and then over a course of like I have the tiger moment, she's suddenly good enough
Really good
to
at
be
gaming.
like really good at gaming.
Partially, I think a lot of it is they chalk it up to this notebook Wang Yibo makes for her, because I think
Yes.
after the almost sexual assault, she gets drunk at a convenience store. He takes, and he's basically following her, is saying if she's okay. She gets herself drunk, and then he has to carry her to. He carries her to his house or to the gaming complex. And then at that point, I think is when he end up giving
He's
they
like,
make
I'm
a
gonna give you
connection,
gaming
so he ends up
advice.
making her, and he makes her a notebook of just everything he knows about the game, and I think that is what is implied to give her this like magic ability to be amazing at this game now.
Yeah, it was a talk. It was like, hey, you're talking to like, well, also Tallboy is another like quote unquote love interest, and so it's kind of like,
He's never a love interest.
They're trying. You never think so, but they try and make it sort of
He's
like.
not. He's barely second male lead.
Tallboy
He's
just wants
barely,
friends. He just wants to have friends.
He
is
just
really all
wants-
he wants.
That's what
But yeah,
it's
he just
obvious
wants
to
friendship.
us. He just wants friends, but they do kind of put a whole like, I'll be your boyfriend if it gets you off some slack or whatever. Just some awkward love tension, just because we can't have main lead get with main lead like that.
So
easily. We
the
can't have
only
that.
other love interest I think is that gaming announcer man, who I think he's probably the other legitimate love interest in the story. Which we haven't even
So-
gotten to that yet.
Nope. But yeah, so it's kind of odd. She just suddenly gets super good at gaming, and she gets a job, and she's working with Tallboy, and that's kind of when Wang Yibo's jealous. He's kind
And
of
Tallboy
like,
just
"Ooh."
works at this cafe for fun because his who knows why.
I guess. I mean, his
he needs
cousin
more money.
owns
I
it.
guess.
No, I think it's just for fun and to maybe
For
make
family.
friends.
I think he
know.
enjoys
Family?
making coffee or something, like because that's a thing he
He
does.
He
likes
does like
making
making
food.
coffee.
Yeah.
He's is there a thing that he likes making food and he's good at it, and sweets and desserts and stuff. He's good at that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so he's just there for fun.
Again, best character.
Best
super
character.
fun.
I love him.
But yeah, so she gets a job now after losing her job at the journalism place, and she's now working at this cafe. LAN cafe is what this is. It's not like a regular cafe. It's a LAN cafe where everyone just games. Cool. Very cool. Dog freaking out. One thing.
Then again, I got a tornado warning like 2 minutes ago, so it's fine.
Nice. One thing that we have to mention is when she did lose her job, she was also kicked out of her apartment. And that also...
Her apartment is fucking gorgeous.
It's so cute. It is the cutest
gotta
apartment I've
say-
ever seen.
I love it so much.
The actual, like, all the houses, like, even the, like, land cafes, the, like, the gaming, like, outposts, I don't know what you want to call them, freaking, where all the gamers lived. All of that was stylish and very cool. But specifically her house, and then the next apartment that's
That she
basically
shares with the
$1
best
million
friend.
house.
Yeah.
There's no way anyone would own that in freaking China, let alone someone that's like working as a gaming
Looking
journalist.
at like a low tier gaming journalism company.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
she is not low. She's low on a low tier,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
And-
journalism. Like, it's,
and she was living there by herself beforehand, and she was
and
all
also
like,
she has no support from, like, she does not speak to her family, much
No.
less. So it's not like she's getting the money from her family.
yeah. So to be able to afford this is impossible, first off, but it's gorgeous, and like the fact that I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so good. You have to see it. It's really hard to like describe it, but once you see it, you're just like, this is too well organized and too like perfectly, like all color schemes and all that. Like it's just kind of one of those, like you watch one of those like house flip shows and they come out and just like create like a not a very livable house but a very pretty house kind of a thing. Like, oh wow, look how well designed this is. I mean, you'd probably take a lot of this stuff down because it's like, I want to be able to live in my house, but it still looks so good. And that's what we were gushing over for like every time they kept showing the house and stuff. It was like that. So that was super cool. But yeah, so Wang Yibo is currently kicked out of his Legends team, and so he's like, well, I guess I'm going to go to this other team where they just
Tall Boy
lost
just
their
left the
star
other team.
because Tall Boy went over to Legends, and now he goes over to, I forgot, they're called VNG or something like that. I
Something
don't
stupid.
remember. Something dumb like that. Another dumb gaming name, but very gamer-like. He joins that team, and it's like a whole. And at this point, we're just like, we saw the intro. We know they end up together on the same team, but this is like
We
20
waste
episodes
most
in,
of the
and
drama
we're just
with
like,
him at this other team. He's there most
Yeah.
of the
Yep.
drama.
Yep.
yeah, and we're just like, all right, well, I don't understand how he's gonna end up making his own team yet. This is crazy.
And absolutely nothing
So-
important happens when he's at this other team because they're a disaster and
nothing.
they all hate each other. So like,
They all hate each other, but they just start winning. Why? Because
Wang Yibo
is
is
a
there.
good strategist, and then figures out, this is how, like, I'll do whatever I can to win, and I can prove it by doing this. And it got to the point where new antagonist, because he now leaves that other team, so he doesn't have to deal with that guy no more. New antagonist is just, again, with the Goon Squad,
Yeah.
is just like, well, I can't handle winning and not being a star or whatever, so I'm just gonna sabotage my own team by recording our strategies and posting them online so that everyone knows how to beat us, kind of a thing.
yep.
And so they just are like, and somehow they blame Wang Yibo for it. How? I have no idea. That whole
He's not subtle at all.
He just
It's not
has the
subtle.
recording device in his hand under the table, but it's like clearly visible by like
And they're-
anybody. You could have just looked at him and you would have seen
in
it there.
fact, one person even saw it,
and
but it was
also,
one of his
like,
goons.
I'm sorry, you can see it from the angle. He is also sitting apart from almost everyone else.
Yeah.
Also, who has a conversation and doesn't, like, I have no idea where that was recorded or when we were talking about this. You obviously know exactly when it happened because they literally posted it like a few hours later after the fact before they had their game. He's like, yeah, this is when we had this meeting, and he showed up late and acted super suspiciously. I wonder if it was him.
Mm-hmm.
It was dumb. It didn't make any sense, but they needed it for plot purposes
To get
I
Wang
guess,
Yibo kicked out of
get
the
Wang
second
Yibo
team.
kicked off another team. So that's super awkward.
Yep.
And so I think there's like one more group of characters we have to talk about, which is Tallboy's cousin who owns that cafe. We gotta
We
talk
love Tallboy's
about
cousin.
we gotta talk about this new team he's at. The managers, both of them that run it. So Legends used to be like under like or not Legends, sorry. They used to be all like Carpal Tunnel Boy and stuff. Like all these guys all used to be a part of
Cafe Man.
Cafe Man.
a different cafe
He runs
man.
a different gaming cafe.
A different cafe, a gaming cafe man, not cafe man, not strawberry milk cafe.
No, but also,
Yeah, there's so many
the other
cafes.
cafe man, the cousin of Tall Boy Cafe Man.
Exactly.
And the cousin of Tall Boy.
They were this old squad of gamers that, including like the famous announcer that main lead girl is trying to like be a partner with because he's the most famous announcer.
A plot point we can just like sort of yada yada through is main lead girl enters a gaming commentary competition, gets all the way through the end and wins it, and now is able to commentate games.
Is now a gaming
with
commentator.
this other gaming commentator man who is kind of a second love interest, but like not really.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. Let's be honest, there is no second love interest in this show.
No, there really isn't.
They like make it sort of like, oh maybe, and then they just immediately backtrack
No.
of like, no, Wang Yibo is just her boyfriend.
Yeah, it's not really. Not really. Well, there is another love interest, but it's on the girls' side. We'll talk about her.
We'll get there.
Either way, old squad, they won back in the day, and they kind of are just like, oh, well, you know, we gotta, like, move on with our lives. And there's a whole plot with that, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It's just they're old
Not at all.
gamers,
No.
and that's it. And they are, like,
They all
sad
still work in the
because
gaming industry, so like
they also sort of like all went their own separate ways. Specifically, one that owns a cafe to himself with computers, so another LAN cafe, and he's all super sad because he didn't get to go to that final tournament because of issues that never really gets explained well enough. And he's sort of like, I'm mopey and sad because I liked one of the girls that was on that team, but I couldn't be with her because I had to
their
sit out.
entire
And now I'm a
plotline makes
failure.
like absolutely no sense at all.
It made no sense. And again,
Nope.
also in the intro, but
Yeah,
we just
we
don't know it
couldn't
at the
recognize them because
We couldn't
for
I
recognize
AEP.
recognize who those two were.
But yeah, that's a character that is just a thing. So he's sad. That's all we gotta really say about that. So Wang Yibo has a new job in this team. He gets framed again, gets kicked out. And so girl who's trying to be announcer, main lead, she gets a new job as an announcer, is doing sort of well. But guess what? Antagonist girl that's just being just pointlessly evil for no point also wants to be an announcer and just ruin her life as well. So does everything in her works to like ruin her life, like stealing her notebook that. And
I think they
destroying...
also implicate her in the leaking of the strategy meeting too.
They do. They
Yes.
do because I think it's sort of a thing that they're like together now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a couple, but they couldn't say it. Whatever, leaking strategy.
And
who
also,
cares?
asshole girl is dating asshole guy, so they're just the asshole couple that are just
Yes.
like being assholes
That's
together.
just the thing.
And also, like, he's mainly doing it, one, because he doesn't like Wang Yibo, but also she is sort of, like, telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because he's sort of, like, also a dope.
yeah, he's kind of just like
really stupid. He's so
Yeah,
stupid.
he's not very
He
smart.
is very
yeah.
stupid.
So it's kind of like it doesn't really do anything. So
Yep, and I think
whatever.
this is where we also talk about the other pointless evil villain of this show, which is
The
Wang Yibo's
ex-girlfriend.
ex-girlfriend.
The idol
So
singer
Wang Yibo's
ex-girlfriend.
ex-girlfriend is an idol, and she essentially leaves him to go pursue her idol dreams, and he gets super heartbroken, da-da-da-da-da, and then she just randomly comes back, like, halfway through the show and is like, oh, great, we need to be together, and he flat
I wanna
He
pick
says
up where
no.
we left off, kind of a thing.
And he says no.
and he's just like
that was like
"No,
4
I
years
have
ago,
another
dude.
girlfriend."
I moved on finally.
One, it was 4 years ago, and two, and I've moved on to, like, I've only recently just moved on to another
Like,
girl.
no, I'm not
Took me
So
this
interested.
the
long.
answer is no. And, like, he was kind of hung up on her, but, like, it is not a plot point. Like, he is just not interested.
He's
and
just a
flat out
nice
tells
guy
her.
and feels bad for her. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to break
And
your
then
heart or
she gets
nothing.
into an accident
Everyone gets into
and
an accident in the
pretends
Pretends to be blind.
Pretends to be blind to get his sympathy.
And she has like
Yeah.
Mind you, this whole time
she has like no
has a weird
family.
bodyguard.
She has no family, so she feels responsible that he should take care of her.
show.
And also, this whole time, she has this weird bodyguard who is obviously in love with her, but is helping her with this ridiculous scheme. And Dan, what is your opinion on this character?
I liked her.
Uh-huh.
I felt bad for her. I kind of was just like,
Why?
Because
She
I'm the kind.
Why?
pretends to be blind.
Well, they definitely had, like an old flame. Let's just put it that way. When she left to go be an idol, there was a lot of they definitely loved each other, and I can see the whole like wait for me kind of a thing. He waited too long.
But she doesn't even say wait for me. She just kind of is like, oh, this wasn't a, well, wait for me while I go pursue my dreams. This was more of a, I'm just gonna leave you.
Yes.
I guess.
And like she doesn't say wait for me.
It was, they were gonna end it because she wanted to focus on her career. So they were just like, you should go do that.
She's like, you can focus on your career and I'll focus on mine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I think
And so
because
that is a very clear, we're done.
Wang
Yeah.
Yibo, several times, he's not even, like, leading her on. He's just like, no. Like, I'm not interested. I have a girlfriend. Like, please leave me alone. Like, he's not
I'm done.
having it.
I just liked her because she was more interesting than the poorly written.
I mean,
main
I
lead.
think that this just proves that Dan wants Wang Yibo to be with a manipulative bitch who will do anything for his affection, including pretends to be blind.
That's the only way
Good to know
she
your
could get
standards,
him,
Dan.
force him to take care of her, was to fake
And he's
blindness.
Not even, like, here's the thing. He's not even staying with her. He's like, yeah, no, I'll take care of her for a little bit, but yeah, no, we're still, me and Main Girl, we're still definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to upset her, but, like, we're not a thing.
Yeah.
It's fine. I get it. I just was like, she's kind of cute because she likes him even after she went away and came back. But, yeah, she ain't the best way of letting go kind of a thing. Let's be real.
I think that's honestly one of the worst ways of letting go, which is pretending to be handicapped.
to be blind.
I'm sure there's been several dramas about that.
I mean,
More
a lot of
full-fledged.
pretend amnesia. A lot of pretend amnesia.
Yep.
Alright, so I think after he gets kicked out and after they clear up that whole thing from, like,
New team.
he just essentially decides to make a new
This
team.
is
and then
episode
from
30
there,
out of 36.
It's time to talk.
kinda
Is it
how
time to
goes.
talk
From
about
there-
younger brother?
we
younger
never,
brother.
Okay. So, no, we'll get to the brother. We'll introduce everyone else. So, essentially, he sells his motorcycle to buy Comic Relief Boy out of his contract.
So that's
Which
one.
is very emotional
It's
because
always
he loves that
teams of
motorcycle.
5.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he gets
Tall
him.
boy cancels his
He
contract with.
Tall Boy cancels his contract and joins that team.
Mm-hmm.
And Tall Boy's story arc has been like, I've realized that I'm not I have to be the one to shine character. I can.
He just thought, I want to
rely
work with
on-
other people
I'm
in
gonna
a
work
team.
with him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work with people, and he's like, I
And
want to be
also I
with him,
want
and I've
friends.
always wanted to be with him.
Yeah.
That's why I joined the other team. It
Like,
wasn't,
I just always
wants-
wanted to play with him. He sounds great. And also friendship.
Yes.
and I think we can win together because you're really good at strategy, and I'm really good at playing. That's like I can win, and I want friends. So Wang Yibo does the smart thing of saying, I'll hire you on as a training buddy, not as the official member of the team, just to see if he's like, what he says he is. If he
Willing.
can willing to like take that support role, and he's like, yep, I'm willing to do that because I want to be on this team, and if this is what my role is, cool.
Then I'll
Then
do
I'll
it.
just be here.
And he actually acts like that's what his job is, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't play like... He genuinely thinks that he won't be a part of the team, which is kind of cool. And then when he gets
Yeah,
asked, like,
and then
can you be on the
it's-
team? He's like, really? And he's like,
Yeah.
no, duh. We literally need another player, and you're the best in the world. Why would I
Yeah,
say
we
no?
need a 5th player. Like, it's a team of 5. Who else is here? There's no one else here.
Well,
I'll take
here
the
we
best player in
go.
the world right now. Thanks.
They also bring in
Old
gaming cafe man. Gaming cafe
from the
man.
old team.
Yep.
From the
Yep.
old team.
So that's
Is he the coach or is he the
No,
a player?
he's a player.
He was a
He
player,
player-
but he just
He's a
couldn't
player.
participate in that tournament.
And he just like
because-
plays online under a different name, and he somehow Wang Yibo figures out that was him, and he's like, "Look, you're still good, even though you're old."
Like, you're still great. Yeah, even if you're old.
And he's like,
And
but
then
Yeah.
The fifth player we have to talk about because it is main girl's brother.
And
So
it is
main
also
girl's brother.
spoiled in the intro.
Yep.
Yes.
This whole team
So
is spoiled in
main
the
girl's
intro.
brother is not introduced till around episode 10, and it is mainly the fact that she is like her half brother.
Yes.
Because so the storyline is her mom dies when she's young. So her dad remarries, and she's just not happy about it. Has never been happy about it, I guess.
Her and the stepmom
she
don't get
moves
along.
Out, her and the but it's not even that like the stepmom is mean. It's just like she is just like not happy with the situation.
Well, the stepmom was also like...
Stepmom was also not nice.
Why are you in
Her
gaming?
care.
Get a real job, blah, 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 kind of
Yeah.
thing as well, but whatever. I was expecting a lot more of that, but I guess in China, it's a lot more normal for gaming things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and also just like, I don't think they had enough. They were trying to do a lot, okay?
There was a
So
lot
she
of
doesn't
characters,
speak to
as
her-
we've
Yeah.
mentioned so far.
So she does not like speak to her parents or her
Yeah.
father. And like doesn't really speak to her brother, but her brother still tries to make a
Her
connection.
brother's the nicest person in the world.
Her brother
Yeah.
is but her brother does sports. Like he's
He's
a
like a
basketball
basketball
player,
player.
I think.
What?
Like actual sports. And so he gets injured by getting hit by a car in like the 20-something episode.
And
Yeah.
it's because
And at that
he's
point-
advertising her announcer competition or something, and then like he
Mhm.
just runs into the middle of the road to like chase after a flyer, then gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
And then gets hit by a car.
Real dumb, like,
And so
who
from
would ever
there,
get hit by a
yeah,
car?
who would dare?
Who would ever get hit by a
Who
car?
would dare?
Goodness.
Yeah, that's so unrealistic. So he then gets injured and can't play basketball anymore.
And he's
And
sad.
He takes up gaming and is apparently just
Really
a
good.
protege.
She's really
I
good.
think so they did sort of hint that he did play beforehand, because they always talked about, like, his sports friends would be like, hey, you want to hop online and carry us to win
Yeah.
the game? So he was always decent, but like, oh, I can't play sports no more. I guess I'll
Not
just be
a
playing
gamer.
more gaming. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So suddenly he's just like, I'm actually really good.
And then they recruit
Um,
him to be on this
But
team.
he becomes all salty because he can't play real sports.
Yep.
So he was a nice
And he
guy,
gets
and then he
very
becomes
angry.
salty.
And then he becomes real
He gets very
angsty.
angry for no reason.
He's real angsty all
Just
the
becomes
time.
very angry.
Yeah, angsty, very angsty. But eventually it comes to the point of, hey, you're good enough to play with the best of the best. We actually want you to play. And he's like, oh, really? You guys want me? But, like, I'm not playing real sports, so I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, who cares? Didn't matter. In the end, he joins the team, and we got a
And he
squad of
plays
5.
well.
And he plays well. And they go to face off Jeffrey and...
Oh yeah, no. The finals is again
against
Jeffrey
Jeffrey.
versus now new team.
Once again, Jeffrey.
versus
Phoenix.
Jeffrey. And shockingly, in a clutch where I teared up, very close to
Where you
losing,
teared up.
they win. Woo!
Now,
I think you
Dan,
need to talk
explain why
about
this
gaming
strategy is
strategy.
bullshit.
How it's not
Everything
useful
about
at all.
it is it doesn't make
Bullshit.
any sense. First off, it's all just doesn't make sense. Like the way they try and describe what the strategies are and stuff like that. Whatever. Moon, double moon. Who knows what that means? It means nothing. I don't know what that means. They have this one strategy they always talked about, which is when Tallboy was playing with all the teams that they do, like they call like 4 protect 1, which is a thing in gaming where they just like, all right, we're just gonna put all our eggs into one player because he's good enough to like win the game for us. If we make it easy for him, he'll win anything. But again, it's super easily beaten by just like, oh, let's just make sure that this one guy doesn't have a good game. If we can do everything in our power to make sure this guy doesn't have a good game, we win the game because everyone else is building around trying to make that guy do well. So yeah. So that was one of the big plot points for Tallboy is he's like, I don't want to do where I have to protect I don't want to be the star of the show anymore. I want to like work as a team, make friends and stuff. So that was why that was a huge thing. In the end, their winning strategy was to like everyone decided to build like special firework wands.
They just sold all their weapons and then bought fireworks.
Yep, and bought fireworks.
That's kind of how it goes. And it goes to throwback to like, oh, back in the game, and she's like, main female lead is playing with Wang Yibo, and he's like, why did you buy that? He's like, it looks pretty, and I'm just like, again, a reminder that this girl is not a real gamer if she's still in that phase of the gaming where she's like, this looks cool, I'm gonna buy this. Yeah, their final strategy to win the whole game is to sell all their items and buy firework sticks, just like what he did.
Sounds
or
reasonable.
she did. That is not a real thing.
It's like, that's not what
gaming,
you do.
But
You
there
don't just sell and buy fireworks for
not like
success.
that. There is desperate rushes to like, all right, I'm gonna sell a couple items to buy like the best and strongest item in the game to maybe win. More often than not, it's kind of like it's your equivalent of a Hail Mary. That's really what it is. I'm just gonna try and shoot for it.
Bet on a Hail Mary.
They bet on a Hail Mary and won. That's exactly what that is, and it's cool. It's really, that's what made me tear up, is that a Hail Mary worked. Because who doesn't want to see a Hail Mary work? It's like
very
like
dramatic.
minimal odds. It's very dramatic and fun. So that's kind of what happened,
Sure.
and so yeah.
So
It was
the
cool.
one strategy so this is essentially the one strategy that the new team does, and I talked to Lucas about it because I remember hearing it, and I'm like, I feel like this is not a thing that works in like an
This
actual
is not how this
gaming
Yeah,
context.
no, I think we've had multiple conversations about how this is all bullshit.
Where it's
This
called
would not
it's
work
called
in real
they
life.
call it the shadow tactics, where essentially they have the guy
Oh.
playing mid constantly switch with whoever's playing jungle.
Switch back, yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a
No.
thing you can do.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel
that
like that's
strategy.
not
No,
bullshit.
it's not. Oh yeah, because Wang Yibo constantly is making strategies. That was one of them. He's just like, yes, we'll just have one of our lower position characters that doesn't matter switch with one of the most important roles, and they'll never see it coming. Kind of a thing where you're like, I don't know who to focus on because they keep switching, haha, because they're always trying to find the number one player. Like, no,
And then
it doesn't
Jeffrey's
exist.
team's way to beat that is to just do that, like, but with 4 people, where you have 4 people jumping
Yes.
between different roles or whatever.
Which just sounds impossibly complicated and also stupid.
Yeah.
They just use
And
a lot
also,
of
like, it would
gamer
never
talk.
Mhm.
And I'm sure there is a lot of translation thing, which just doesn't make sense. Because I don't
Because
know
this
how
is
you would.
also a fan translation. This
Yeah.
is not an official translation.
Yeah,
that
like,
we were
I
even
wouldn't
listening
know
to.
how to properly translate this. Like, if it was in English, and like, how do you, like, translate gamer talk anyway? Like, you can't. It doesn't work. Like, literally translating things don't make sense. So, I'm sure that's a lot of it. Maybe in Chinese, it sounds and makes a lot more sense. And they actually did some research to it. But from an English point of view, none of that gaming strategies made sense. Only the whole, like, 4 protect 1 thing. But then they always showed it getting beat up. So it's kind of like, yes, very accurate. This strategy isn't good. But yeah. Again, the whole gaming aspect you gotta take with a grain of salt. Like, you're not in
Yeah,
here
like, if
for
you're
a
real
real
into the
gaming.
pro gaming, like, this is
No,
not the
of
drama
course
you
not.
want to watch. Like,
This
is
is
not
if
what you
you
wanna do.
are a fan of gaming, but you also understand this is a Wang Yibo drama, and you're like, I'm here for Wang Yibo, and then you're like, okay,
Exactly.
If you're,
That-
here, if you're here only for Wang Yibo, you
This
will
is the
enjoy this
drama
whole
for
show
you.
immensely. This is
yes,
great.
and it was great. I honestly, like, my last opinions of it. Yeah, it did suck that the intro spoiled the whole thing, but honestly, I'll be real. If
Let's be honest.
hadn't,
If it hadn't done it, would you
I
not have skipped?
probably not have finished watching.
yeah.
And I would have just said, Sammy, tell me what happens, kind of a thing.
Tell me what happens
But,
when you're
like,
finished.
But the fact that I knew that they would end up all on a team together just had me fascinated of, like, I have to know how they get to this point. This is, like, I have to know. I have no idea how this happens. So that was definitely a selling point for me. I mean, I love Wang Yibo, but I also don't want to spend 36 episodes of, like, especially since those first 10 episodes are great, and then
The middle,
nothing
there's a lot of
happens.
nothing happening in the middle.
When we say nothing, I mean the whole alternate team wasn't necessary.
Literally
They could have
nothing
literally just jumped
interesting.
to, like, being like,
So,
make a new
Hey, let's
team.
make this team
No.
now.
okay. So if all of this in theory, and this is, I think we're at the end now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If all of this sounds great to you and you enjoy a lot of what we said, but the fact that all of this is just a lot of unnecessary BS, watch The King's Avatar. And you don't care about Wang Yibo, just watch The King's Avatar. It is this story, but condensed to a better... I mean, it's longer, it's 50 episodes, but it is far more condensed correctly. The plot itself makes far much more sense because the way that show works is that he gets kicked off the team, leaves, deletes his character, starts a brand new character, works at an internet cafe, and then makes a new team. And that is the arc of the show.
See, that is what Gank Your Heart should have been.
Than what we.
That's what the show should have been.
But yeah, it just did. It tried to.
There's too much happening.
Try to
and
build
a lot of it
like
was
a
unnecessary.
huge final, like this is the end goal of making a new team. But when you spoil it in the actual intro, you're just like, what? I can understand also why it's won a few awards as well. Like I think it's production wise, like yeah, it was good. There was a lot of good settings, and again, like the cafes, they literally go on a Disney World date. We didn't even talk about it because it's that unnecessary to the plot.
Yeah, and it's when we say Disney World, we mean
actually it's like whatever
Disney
China
World.
Disney World or whatever, wherever
Shanghai
it is in
Disney.
China.
Mickey Mouse is
They're
there.
at
Everyone
Disney
is
World.
there. It
Like
is.
it is. You see the castle. You see the fireworks. You see
That
all
is
of it.
where they are.
It's just an entire episode, and that's nothing.
A good chunk of it is just at Disney World.
And just them having music,
Yep.
riding rides. So, yeah, it is a cool production. The gaming things are still cool. I mean, they had to create a fake game to actually make this, which is always kind of cool to see how bad it's done. It was hideous, just as I expected. Looked like a couple guys did it in a couple days, just to
Look. These shows are aired over like a month or aired over like 3 weeks, and like their 36 episodes aired over 3 weeks. How much money do you think they're actually gonna make? And how much effort do you think they should actually
So
put
making
into
a
should
fake
have to
video
work.
game for this drama.
Yeah, but they still
Full-on fake
hired
video
on
game.
full stuff, guts. Yeah, so it was fun to see. A lot of characters, a lot of just straight up dicks and lovable characters like any good drama should have. Cheer for the winners, cheer and boo the losers, kind of a thing. So it was fun. It was fun to see Wang Yibo as a gamer. I mean, I'm sure for you, after seeing The Untamed, this is a very different change of pace. But hey, it's our boy. We simp. We stan.
We do simp.
Mm-hmm. We are indeed the
We are the
Sims for
Wang
Wang
Yibo.
Yibo.
We are the simps for Wang Yibo. We love him. Getting y'all into Wang Yibo is one of the best things I ever did.
Well, any final thoughts, feelings about Gank Your Heart?
If you
It's
like
been a
Wang
couple
Yibo,
months.
Watch it
yeah,
if
it's
you
been
like.
a long time, but
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
if you like Wang Yibo, I would say watch it. If you're only in it for the gaming,
Watch a different show.
there's a lot of other gaming dramas.
Yep.
That's sort of my
I would agree with that.
final thoughts. So that was another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. That was the final episode of
Yes,
Asian Drama November.
it should be.
So we
the
will
end,
actually
yes.
have something possibly K-pop related next
Okay,
week.
so it might
Who
not.
knows?
Might not be. Depending. We'll see.
Meh,
Tune in next
depends
week,
on-
find out. Wink,
Exactly. Wink, wink. So, I guess check us out on social media. Check out our Twitter, Instagram, our collection Instagram, where it's our collective collections. We are on Spotify, and if you're on Spotify, we are also on YouTube. And that's been our Gank Your Heart episode. Did I forget anything?
That's it, I think.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.